Hello and welcome to the I3 lecture series hosted by the Masters in Digital Photography program at the School of Visual Arts. We are thrilled to welcome photographer Inbal Abergil as tonight's guest speaker. Originally from Jerusalem, Inbal completed her BFA at the Midrashah School of Art in 2007 and then went on to obtain her MFA in Visual Art from Columbia University in 2011. She is currently based in New York and works as an assistant professor of photography at Pace University. She has had solo shows at Miyako Yoshinaga Gallery, New York City, Tova Osman Gallery, Tel Aviv, and Kibbutz Art Gallery, also Tel Aviv. Selected group shows include Golden Thread Gallery, Belfast, Jeonju Photo Festival, South Korea, Shulamit Gallery, California, and most recently Aperture Gallery, New York. Her work can be found in the permanent collections of the Israel Museum, Fisher Landau Center for Art, the American University Art Museum, and Haaretz Collection in Tel Aviv. Inbal has been awarded the Rabinovich Prize, Tel Aviv Department of Art and Culture 2004, the America-Israel Cultural Foundation 2002, and the Artiste Grant Program 2012. Her first monograph, N.O.K-Next Of Kin, was recently published by Daylight to great critical acclaim. We will have copies of the book tonight for sale and signing after the lecture. And please help me welcome Inbal Abergil to our lecture series.
So my first series station was the solo exhibition in Tel Aviv. That was my first solo exhibition. And I am coming from Jerusalem. I was born and raised in Jerusalem. And at that time, 2004, the main public transportation is the bus. And unfortunately, there were a lot of terror attacks, and it was during the time that you ride the bus, they were blowing up buses, usually in the morning, but you couldn't know where it will be. They just randomly chose neighborhood, and you would go on the bus in the morning, and you never know if you'll come back, if you'll see your family, the same family member, basically. So using the bus, I decided to document the Israeli bus stops in between the cities, and without no passengers in them, and showing the bus stop as the live performances of the Israeli society, basically. In Israel, during the Shabbat, during the Saturday, started the Friday afternoon when the sun is going down until Saturday evening, there is no public transportation. So Saturday morning was my time to go to those bus stations and take pictures without any passengers, and taking pictures of what the station become. Like here, for example, it's become a flower store that people pick up for family dinners. And the graffiti actually says Arabs out. So people will come and react with the station and place graffiti and ads, and it become like a billboard. Here it's like a personal joke about us as Israelis that we never go all the 9 yards. We put the solar panel that is most expensive, but they never put the street light for it to be used. So it's those small things that you can see when you are basically traveling through Israel. Here you can see also another thing that we have, the ad that you see on the bus stop. It's a Shiva ad. When someone passed away, we sit Shiva. That means Shiva is 7, the number 7 in Hebrew, and we sit for 7 days and more for the person. Basically, we put that in the public space so people will know that person passed away, and then you can come and pay your respect, even if you don't know the person. The apartment is open, and people just come during those 7 days and take care of that family. The immediate family is sitting, but the rest of them basically take care of that family for that week. So the station, as I said, it's an invitation to act and show the political and aspect of the society in Israel. Here you have 2 graffitis. It says there are Arabs, there are terror attack, and then it says Kahana was laughing, but it used to be Kahana was right. Kahana was one of the most extreme right leaders in Israel. He actually was murdered here in New York. And someone came and added just another line on that word, and it transferred the word from Kahana was right to Kahana was laughing. So again, it's just small things that allow you all of a sudden from just passing through to spend time with the station, and really see what people left behind them while they are spending time in the station. There are different materials that the station is being made. Like this is, I can't even think about a person that will stand in this station because it's so hot in Israel and it's metal, and I couldn't even imagine standing under it. So it just become like an ad, a place, a forum, and again, for the public. A station, like a clean station, was just new one, was very hard to find. And when I came out with this project, a lot of critique called it a station that didn't see any terror yet, because a lot, again, of the terror was during the bus stops, in the bus, while the bus stops in the bus stop, sorry. Just to stand in the view, in the landscape, and you know that you need to stand there and wait, and the bus will come. Sometimes you don't even know where it will be or where you are going. It's not really a secure place for you to wait. And just a lot of, in a way, a performance of us through this waiting place. This is a station in Jerusalem that seen terror, and then it became a monument, basically. And the family members kept coming and changing the flowers and the egg and the candles. Even though everyone thought that it would be a temporary monument, everyone called it like a memory place that will be unrevealed. The layers will be peeling, and the flowers will go down, the flags will worn out, but it just kept being maintained by the families, and nobody expected it. Here you can also see in the background, you see the Arab village, and you see how close we live together. So this whole idea of separation is not really something that works, because we are one, basically. Walking on this series and starting with those monuments, not really knowing where I will be today, but I wanted to show that as my first body of work. Jumping forward, getting forward to 2011, Nothing Left Here But the Hurt is a project that I did when I came here to the United States to do my master at Columbia. The title of the walk is from a poem by Brian Turner. I highly recommend to look him up. He is a former soldier that went to Afghanistan and came back, and his first book was Here Bullet. Since then he wrote other books, great one. I highly recommend. So when I came here to Columbia, I got a housing on Riverside Drive, and I just took a walk, and I was amazed by the amount of monuments that American has here, and the fact that they are all figurative. Coming from Israel, living war, everyone has to join the military. Everyone, when you fight at home, you look back, you see your home. If there is a siren, you go down to the shelter. It never happened in a different place. All our monuments are abstract. I can't imagine like a figurative one. While here, everyone may experience war through an abstract way, maybe through the TV screen, but all the monuments are figurative. When Maya Lin did hers in Washington, D.C., the wall that was the first abstract one, everyone was upset and thought that it's an insult for the Vietnam War. And then they built another one figurative in front of it. So coming here, starting to think about this station between abstract and figurative, and building this installation of 81 photographs, 12 feet high from ceiling to floor, 16 feet wide, and going back to the monumental side. There are a lot of monuments here, different period of time, different aesthetic, different wars, but the one thing that everyone has in common is that the fact that they are being ignored. And I was amazed that they are in park, and you can eat your lunch there. And while in Israel, it's always outside of the city, and you'll go there and pay respect, and you'll maybe be there on Memorial Day. So all of a sudden, to get the public memory in another way was something that I was fascinated by. So I took pictures of all the monuments over the East Coast, and combining them with Greek mythology statues that speak about pain and loss, and trying to reenact the battlefield in one image, basically. And the size of it, the monumental size of it, is basically forcing itself on the viewer. Coming here also, starting doing those sequences, I understand that everyone reads from left to right, and Hebrew you read right to left. So the grid was a solution for me, because statistically, when you look at the grid, you start in the middle, and then you go into the direction that you are used to read. So that's how I decided to have it as a grid. I repeated some of the images and making different kind of focus levels, so it will be an active wall, and putting basically some life into the monuments as a living thing, and not just a static kind of installation. My urban space, public and political space, is basically from the public monuments start to narrow down to the private monuments that the family keeps to keep the memory alive. And that's how I started to think about the American military families and what they keep, because the public monuments weren't there really serving anyone. Nobody knew what they're about, or nobody cared. And then I started to think, okay, so how the family actually remembered and what they are doing to remember the beloved ones. At the same time, before I speak about N.O.K., I had an opportunity to show my work in Belfast and Derry Laundry in Northern Ireland. And that's another conflict that I won't get into, because it's a lecture just by itself. But Northern Ireland is basically have Britain there present, and Irish wants it to be part of the Irish Republic. Coming to the residency, this is the house that I received, and they came to pick me up from the airport, and then they stopped next to this house, and I saw the Israeli flag, and I was confused. I was like, in my head, it's like, did they put the flag for me? It's like a little bit too much, even in Israel. The flag may be only on Independence Day. So I asked Gail, the director, I was like, why we have an Israeli flag? And she said, well, you will see the whole neighborhood and you will understand. So it wasn't for me. It's just that the British side, there are neighborhoods in Belfast that took up on themselves the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And the British side took the Israeli side, the side of it, so you will see British flags and Israeli ones, and then the Irish took the Palestinians, so you'll see Ireland flags and Palestinians. So for me, being in Belfast was intriguing, because it's the first time that I'm in a place that after 3 decades of conflict, they declare peace. Israel never declared peace. Since the day we are established, we are still in war. So all of a sudden, to be in a place that says that there is peace, apparently, but still have so many signs and so many layers of conflict, that you go and you walk and you just see them and pay attention to them, especially for the unrevealing eye, that you just go by and with your camera, you pay attention to so many things that I was struck by. A lot of people wanted to tell their stories, and And the memory is a live thing, basically. It's not thing that they forget. Like in Israel, if there is a terror attack, maybe 2-3 hours after, the place will be clean, like nothing happened. And immediately people wants to go back to their life. At Belfast, I had a different kind of feeling of like people wants to remember and they cannot allow themselves to forget. So in residential neighborhood, you can find those mural when you go out from your house. This is like the things that you see, and I can't even, imagine have that in front of your window. But the tension is always there, and you can feel it, and there are cameras everywhere. And even though it is a time of peace, they still have the dream to be united. Some of them, not all of them. And going through Belfast, you really reveal a lot of the region, the time, and how things have changed, but not completely. Those cages are something that they put on their bars to be protected when they had the trouble times, but you can still see in time of peace it become like an aesthetic kind of a cage that they put flowers on, but you still have the cameras on top while you go there. And there are a lot of peace lines and high barriers that they put to divide the neighborhoods. And basically it caused a lot of people to do a long detour to just get to the bus stop or something like that. And I was lucky enough to have the person that has the key to this door. And he took me around the neighborhood and he opened that door for me. And I was able to go both sides without taking the whole tour, basically. This is a body of work that I'm still working on and edit, and I feel that I need to go back and to be able to finish this project. And it was important for me to show you what I have in mind while I'm still working on N.O.K. This is in Derry Laundry, on the side there where the Irish flag is. You can see the Palestinians as well. And you can see how close they are to the houses. Like, think about someone do a bonfire like that in Brooklyn, like next to houses. It's like unheard of. And it's so, it's huge. It's really huge. Here in Belfast, this is the only high building that you have, and that's something that the British build, so they will have snipers on the top to maintain quiet, basically. So I wanted to put it next to the bonfire. You can see the Israeli flag that is about to be burned together with the British one, and then how people protect their houses on the window, again, because the amount of heat is crazy. Coming to N.O.K., N.O.K-Next Of Kin is my current project that I've been working on for 3 years. From the public monuments, from that distance of memory and how people choose to remember their beloved ones, I was intrigued by the American military families and what they keep. Just a few things before I'm getting into it. Again, in Israel, you have to serve in the military. I was an Air Force photographer. And we also have Gold Star families. We named them a different name, but they have really high respects. And during Memorial Day in Israel, everyone is part of it. And if you want to escape Memorial Day, you basically have to leave the country. Because the TV channels have documentary films about soldiers and different wars. And the radio always just puts silence songs. And there is 1 minute of silence that people have to stand still for 1 minute. Even if you drive the highway, you will stop your car, you get out, you stand for 1 minute, you go back in the middle of the highway. And when I came here, Memorial Day was something like a possibility to just, if you want, you can experience it. If not, it's basically a long weekend. It's a day of sales. And I thought that I don't really understand what people are telling me. I'm like, shouldn't we go, pay respect, attend the ceremony? And I understand that it's completely not connected to so many people. Basically, if you don't have a direct relationship with the military, less than 0.5% of the American citizens served in the army, in the military here, compared to 12% that were in World War II. And it's still a lot of people, but this country is so huge, so it really doesn't connect so many others unless they have someone serve. So having all of that in mind, I wanted to go and meet with the families here in those sets of books. It's one book that combined from two. One has all the photographs and one have all the testimonials that I held with the families. And there are 18 families, 18 in Hebrew, in numerology, stand for life. And they are from different wars, from World War II, Vietnam, Enduring Freedom, Iraq, Afghanistan, and all over United States. And it's basically one book that I wanted to have as the size of a journal, because that's object, the soldier journal is something that came up all the time when I was photographing and meeting with the families. Here I met with Tracy, and she lost her wife, and they are the same-sex couple. And because she lost her wife, she was never been notified that her wife was killed, because the military doesn't recognize they're married, even though they were legally married. She basically needed to run after them with her marriage certificate, so she will be notified. She's serving in the military as well, and I was asking her why you are staying in the military if they treat you that way. And she said that she's proud to serve her country, but she feels that her country is not proud of her. And since that, she was fighting in court to get her rights back. She fought for like 4 years, and she's still in court. She got some of them. But she felt that she has the duty to fight for everyone, all the same-sex couple military, because she didn't have kids and she had a sustained income from the military, but she thought about other couples that may not have that and have kids, and then it would be much harder for them. So she wanted to do it for all. Here you can see also their wedding rings that she never received. She because she is a soldier, she got the opportunity, the mother of Donna actually allowed her to get information and to escort the body. And then she needed to place the objects that were on Donna in front of the mother. And once the mother decided to give it back to her, then she could reclaim her object that she gave to her wife. And those are memorial tattoos that she made of their favorite song. This is the house in North Carolina where I met her, and she almost lost her house basically because she wasn't defined as her next of kin. She got a set of medals, but the medals were duplicate, and she tried to explain me and emphasize how important it is for me to understand that those are duplicate and not the original, and there is a difference because she is her wife and she should get the original and she should be notified. Here I met with Emily. She's the mother of Isaac, and Emily is here from the Bronx. Yesterday, it's been 10 years since Isaac was killed. She received back his pillow and his t-shirts. So she wrapped his pillow with his t-shirts, and this is how she sleeps at night. She knows that it's not him, but she pretends. And the amount of things that they received back is something that came back with, raised in every conversation that I had with all the families. And they are overwhelmed by the things that they received back from the military. Emily unfortunately lost her apartment, so she phrased it as like putting Isaac back in boxes. She had to put it in storage, and she was kind enough to take me there. But I took that picture, but then she couldn't really stay there and could not go over the things, and we had to close it and leave. But the amount of things is are are enormous, because it's the things that you have from childhood, and then the things that they receive back from the military, and then things that other people send them after the person has been killed, and then they really don't know what to do with all of it. Here you can see the pin. On the left is the Next of Kin pin, and then on the right is the Gold Star Mother pin. And the Gold Star term comes from basically World War I. Back then, people used to hang a flag over their house if they had a family member served, and it was with the blue star on it. Once that family member was killed, then the blue star be replaced by a gold star. So the whole community will know the price for it. So the gold star pin is actually what the mother put on themselves when they usually have a white outfit, and you know how to recognize them and pay respect. Just another word about Emily. She's really amazing in terms of trying to do everything so her son will be remembered. She named the street that he was born in the Bronx after him. She named the post office after him. And this is a lot of work and a lot of bureaucracy. It's not something that you can just do. And she named a car race after him. And she basically feels that if she's not doing that, she won't do it, nobody else will. So she's trying to do as much as she can before she will pass away. Here I met with Pam in Colorado, and Pam lost her son Chris, and this is his uniform. This is the first thing that you see when you enter the house. And she asked her casualty assistant officer to actually help her arrange all the medal on the uniform. When she was notified, because her son was not married, she has the right to be buried with him. So basically, once she's been notified, she needs to determine how deep she wants the grave to be dug, so, based on the family members that wants to be buried with him in the future. And she said that she can't even think about it because she just lost her son, and she wants to give her own life to him so he could keep living and experience things that he yet didn't have the chance doing so. So it's all kinds of decisions that they have to make immediately once they've been notified. This is their Christmas tree, and she keep it all year long because she knows this is his favorite ornament, and when he was a child, he snowboarded and broke his legs. During the time with Pam, she made sure that all his friends and her family will come and speak with me, so I'll get the complete picture. But at the same time, the father was sitting in the living room, not saying anything to me and not really speaking with me. He was welcoming me. They were super nice and welcoming all of them, really each and every family. But during that time, when other people talking about Chris, I was thinking about how he is dealing with everything, and why is it that he is not coming to speak with me and tell me his side of the story. And that made me feel that I have to meet with the male side of the family as well, because the mothers, the wives, were the first one to come out and want to share the story immediately. But the male side was something that I had to chase after. So basically, I wanted to complete the family cell, and that's how I knew that the project will be done. Here I met with Scotty, and she's the mother of the most deployed soldier in the United States. He was killed on his 14th deployment. When they came to notify her, it was October 21st, and they told her that he was killed on October 22nd. And she was like, wait, it is confusing as it is, how it is October 21st. It's October 21st today, right? And they were, well, he was killed in Afghanistan, so it's 12 hours ahead. So he was killed in a day that she didn't even live yet. And they were so worried about the media exposure because he was the most deployed soldier ever in the United States. He is the most deployed soldier. So they had to come and tell her immediately. She kept all its stories, and she's a writer. She had nothing to do with the military. She never wanted him to join. She wanted him to go to college. When he told her that he's coming and he wants to join the military, she said, no, you're going to college. But that's what he wanted. And she said I had to support him. I never supported him with my full heart, but I had to support him. He's my son. While she was taking out things, I all of a sudden saw this keychain here on the left, and this is actually a special unit, Israeli special units. And then I asked her how she has it, and she told me that he used to train with the Israelis in Israel. So we had a whole conversation about politics there. Here I met with Diane. She's the niece of John, and John was killed in World War II. He was the first one that received the Medal of Honor and came back alive, and he became a hero. They said that she said that they were a small family, from a small town. Sorry, Italian family from a small town, and they didn't know how to deal with all this attention. Those are all letters that women send him to suggest themselves, basically. All of a sudden, think about it, it's 73 years ago, and the whole conversation was completely different. It was a different kind of emotions. The amount of things that she has are maybe a pile of things compared to the recent war. And all of a sudden we went through letters from Frank Sinatra, because the aunt asked Frank Sinatra to do a movie about him. She took out Life magazine copies that he's featuring inside of them. One of them had the cover of Eugene Smith, and I was excited. And she never met her uncle. But she grew up in the grandmother house, and she heard stories about him. And the aunt told her that she's the one that have to keep the memory alive, and that's what she kept doing. And that's something that I wanted to have in the project, because I wanted to see the element of time and how things change. And basically, the whole conversation was about how to save his memory as a hero. There is still parade in New Jersey every year. There are so many streets and bridge after his name. He really was an important person for that community, for him to come back. And when he was killed, they wanted to give him another Medal of Honor, but you never give two Medal of Honor to a soldier. So he got the Medal of Honor and then the Navy Cross. But it's a very high, well-known level of medal. Here I met with Vicky, and she lost her brother, Stephen, in Vietnam. This is the newspaper that he used to deliver newspaper when he was a kid, and they wrote the obituary about him after he was killed. And you can see the details about him and about the family that waits. She said when it happened, she was a little girl. She couldn't really keep anything. After her mother passed away, when she cleaned her apartment, then she could reclaim the objects and take things that he sent her. It happened in Christmas, and she said they never celebrate Christmas since then. And she could never come out and speak about it, because back then they would call her brother baby killer, and she couldn't really talk about it. Today is a different kind of situation that family comes out with their stories. Again, she had just a pile of things, and the things that she keep close are his letters, and she reads them to the public every Memorial Day. Here I met with Liz. She's the sister of Jamie. Jamie was the most high-rank soldier, woman that was killed in the military, Lieutenant Colonel, and this was her Barbie, and Liz says that she doesn't give it to her daughter to play with, and she always tells them, I'll buy you another one, but this is Jamie's, don't touch it. Jamie was deployed a lot, not just to Afghanistan and Iraq, also Bosnia, South Korea, Turkey, and she bought a lot of things because in military housing, you can sleep with the same soldier that is the same rank as you. And there are not a lot of women in that rank, so she had the whole room to herself. So she used to buy a lot of things, dreaming about the house that she will furnish one day with all of them. Unfortunately, she never got to do that. And Liz told me that it took them a year and a half to go through all her things. And she moved to a new house, so she took all those things and furnished her house. And she said that Jimmy is all around, basically. And I took the objects and placed them and used them as my backgrounds. I always ask them what I can do and if I can move it, and what I can do with the object. I never know how close they are to them. And Liz was, no, it's good that you're here. You can do whatever you want. I have to learn how to let go. And some of them were staying with me the whole day, all the time, after the interview. And some of them just let me be and do whatever I want. Some of them start to be my assistant and held my reflectors, and it became like a photography lesson. And they were amazed about how much you can learn about photography, and it's not just taking a picture. Here I met the Ortega family in Miami, and all the Ortega came from Nicaragua. In Nicaragua, you have to serve, and they came to United States because they didn't want their only son to serve. They have 5 daughters and a son, William. He joined the military, didn't tell them. They discovered after 6 months, and it was too late. He was a very unique combination of a Marines and a Navy, but he made it, and this is their living room. And the whole conversation was held in Spanish, and the father told me that he just ran through this room because he never wants to look at those medals, and he doesn't care about those medals, but it is displayed because that's what the mother wants, and he wants his son back. He doesn't care about those medals. The whole conversation was in Spanish. I don't speak Spanish, unfortunately, and the daughter was translated for me, and it was clear enough even when I didn't hear the word, but just seeing the tears coming down, what I'm about to hear. And even though every family surprised me with their information and their experience of how they've been notified and what kind of objects they keep and how they choose to keep it. William got his American citizenship after he was killed. And this is how the mother keeps all his objects. Here I met with Maggie. She's the wife of Kyle, and she was the first one that met with me. This is a photograph that was in his wallet with him all the time, and even when he was killed. And they are laughing in this picture because it was a joke that he's always shorter than her, but on Christmas he stood on the stool and was higher and took the picture, and that's the moment that he always carried with him. When they came to notify her, they were based in Italy. So basically they notified her in the evening, and she had to leave to receive the body in the United States. So basically she had nothing with her. Her friends packed all her apartment and shipped everything to the United States, so she needed to wait for like 4 months after things came back. So she had nothing to smell, nothing to touch, nothing to hug, nothing with her. Here I met with Joshua's father, Chris, and this is a letter that he sent. Joshua is a Gold Star father, and that I met in Tampa. And I told him, okay, so how many Gold Star families, Gold Star dad, there are in Tampa? And he said, well, we are 6 Gold Star fathers, and we always go to play golf. And we never speak about anything. We know we are here for each other, but we don't speak. I love this drawing because it just shows how afraid he was and just a kid, basically. The journal is something, as I said, that always came back, and they allowed me to read and go through it. And while I kept having those journals in my hand, I knew that this is the size, this is how I want my book to be, that intimate, that small, and have it as something that you open and reveal so many secrets, stories or narratives. Here I met with the first chaplain, with the wife, with Christy. She's the wife of the first chaplain that was killed since the Vietnam War. Chaplains usually are not being killed because they're not out on the field. But he was special. Dale was special because he always went with his troops. And chaplain has an assistant because he will never carry a gun on him, so he has to have someone protected him. This is cars that he built with his sons for derby races. I didn't know what they are. It's another thing that I reveal about the American cultures while I'm meeting with the families. She basically keeps everything because she doesn't know what her sons will want. They are so small and still young. And this is Dale's baby shoes. And this is his boots that came back from Afghanistan with the mud, and she keep it that way. Usually they clean everything, and that's something that families complain because they won't have the smell. But those boots are not never been cleaned, and she keep it that way. Here I met with Mrs. Chance and her son. She lost her son, Jesse. He was in the Marine. She always says that she's a Blue Star and a Gold Star because she has a daughter that served. She's a single mother, and for her, the church was the community that really took care of her, and she's thankful for that all the time. She doesn't care about the medals. It's the first time that I saw all the medals in a Ziploc bag, never framed or hang on the wall. She said that she just wants to hear stories about Jesse and how we affect people's life. So she created a Facebook page. She's almost 70, and she created a Facebook page, and she's going to the cemetery with a huge picture of him, sitting down there waiting for people to approach her, to recognize the picture and approach her and tell her stories about Jesse. Here I met with Linda. She's the wife of Floyd, and this is the doll that he sent his daughter, and the daughter came with that doll, and she stood next to me and made sure that I didn't do anything to the camel because it started to fall apart. And I was surprised to see a camel here in the United States, because in children's book you never see the camel. It's not one of the popular animals. But for me, coming from Israel, of course it is. And talking with Maurice Emerson, that is one of the writers for the book. He fought in Iraq. He told me that they all went to the same bazaar and bought the same things. And then that's how she received this doll. And he was intrigued to know if something would happen to him, if his children would keep that camel. Here I met with Kendra. She's the sister of Stephen, and this is a sweatshirt of his that she received back, and she wore it all year, and she couldn't take it off for that year. This is him visiting her on her wedding day, and she said that her family can't really speak about it. She doesn't have anyone to speak about it with. It's so hard. And they just text that day, I love you. They send texts around the brothers and sisters, and that's how they deal with it. But she was so open, and she was surprised that I want to hear, and I come and I take this time to get to know her stories and hear all about Stephen. Here I met with the brother and a sister separately, Barbara and Ray, and they lost their brother in Vietnam. And there was a ship named after Robert, and this is his Bible. United States, after they were done with the ship, they sold it to Egypt, and they have like a board back from the Egyptian that they sent it to them. With the monastery, it was an amazing meeting because, like everyone else, but in a different, special way, because they lost their brother in Vietnam, but they were living in a street that everyone served. So basically, when a family lost someone, they had that community that hugged them and took care of them, compared to Vicky that couldn't even talk about her brother and had a completely different conversation and didn't know how to deal with things. Here they evenly separate all the things, divided the things among the family members. They heard about his death, the parents heard about his death before the notifier came. Back then in Vietnam, there were too many casualties, and they didn't have the time to tell everyone. And they got a letter from one of his unit, one of the soldiers in his unit, telling them that he's sorry for their loss, and they didn't understand why they got that letter. And then those notifiers came in the afternoon. Those are Polaroids that he sent back. I was amazed how well they're being maintained, and behind every Polaroid there is a full description of the place in Vietnam. He was completely intrigued by their culture and sent so many objects like teapots and fabrics and a pearl necklace to his sister, because he was so amazed and he liked to dress up. So he was like, had all those things that he sent back to them. Here I met with Esteline. She's the mother of Justin. Justin was Special Forces, Green Beret, and in Green Beret they are in small teams of 12, and when they are being deployed, they don't have a base to stay. They're always in the move. So he told his mother, "Don't send me things that I cannot eat," because he didn't want to carry it on him. And after he was killed, she was amazed that he had this notebook that she gave him years ago as a present, and he wrote a poem inside about him being the medic of the group and how soldiers call him while they are being hurt, and how there is a mother crying back at home. His dressing watch was also on him, and again, things that she said what he did with it there, like why he took it with him. And one of the books that I read also was by Tim O'Brien, The Things That They Are Carrying, and it was amazing to see both of them. He always used to go with a hat, and this is his childhood one, and to reach the families, the Gosar families, I had to go and attend a lot of events, and they had one exhibition here in New York for all the Gosar families that we have in the New York State. And all of a sudden I saw Justin's pictures there. So I went to the casualty assistant that helped me with this project, Raul, and I told him why we have Justin pictures here. I met her in Colorado. And he said, well, Justin's father is living here, upstate New York, in Hancock. Do you want to meet him? And I was like, yes, of course. So I went and met with the father. This is the hat that he wore recently before he was killed, and had a conversation with him about the things that he kept. He kept the first deer that Justin hunted. He loved to hunt, and he hunted when he was 13 or 14. And they striped the deer because he had a white fur, and that's something that is rare to have. But they didn't really do it well, so some of it fell off, and then he drew on the skin. He has an enormous farm in Hancock, and he put a pool 70 feet high with a flag for Justin. Basically, you can see it everywhere you're driving. And standing under it, it was enormous, and it was moving. It was very windy that day, and I just couldn't stop taking pictures of it. This is the only grave that I visit because he was buried at home, and Justin's father took me there, and the first thing that he did on this side of the grave, it's just soil. So he took the soil and rubbed it. So anything green that comes out of it, just basically it kills it and take it away. So the grave looked fresh. It looked like he was buried yesterday. And Justin is buried next to his grandfather that was killed he wasn't killed, he served in World War II. Having those two families in completely different places and having the talk with them was another thing that, again, I didn't expect. I was grateful to meet all the families, and I never knew who I were about to meet. Like, we just exchanged emails, but then, you know, I'm pressing the doorbell, getting into the house, and then it's a whole kind of a meeting, and an intense one. I always held the interview first to get to know the stories, and then once I had the stories in my mind, then I started to go through the objects and take the pictures. A lot of them told me before I was coming, Inbal, maybe you shouldn't come. I don't know if I have a lot of things. I'm not sure. And I was like ensuring them, you know what, I'll just come and see what you have. It's okay. And from the conversation, from the interview, a lot of people start to recall other things. And before you know it, they just keep taking more and more objects. And the whole living room was full of things for me to photograph. Thank you.
We don't see any photographs of the actual family, and I like that because that's very personal when you photograph them, right? How did you choose them? And you seem to remember everybody's name. Was that?
Well, it was a very intense meeting with each and every family. First of all, I chose not to take their portraits because I think objects are more universal. Everyone can have that black notebook, and that's how I wanted people to approach the project. First from Lost, because Lost is part of everyone's life. You will experience it at some point, if you hadn't already. And then there is the story of the military. Again, I came here and I saw how much everyone is completely not attached to the military life, and I wanted to bring back the audience in a way that they will know. So Lost was through that, and with portrait it's something so specific, and again I wanted to have it a more of a broad, universal kind of way. I remember everyone. I think I will remember them forever, just because I have my notes, because sometimes you forget when you're standing here, but I'll remember them forever. They are part of my life, and they will always be.
I remember before the book was released, you gave me an advance copy of the essays.
It was the zine that I had to. The first part of this project had a solo exhibition in Baxter Street, because I was one of the residents and got their grant, and that's what allowed me to start with the project, taking pictures, not to start with it, but keep going with it. And with the exhibition, I had a zine that I gave people just with the stories, not without any images.
Inbal gave me a copy of that zine, and she said to me, just make sure you wait until you get home or some place where you can actually read this privately. And being who I am, I started reading it on the subway. And 5 minutes later, I was crying. So unless you're comfortable weeping in public, you should really, read this in a private place. And it doesn't come across in the lecture, but I did want to just signal to you that there's two parts to this project. One is the testimonies, and the other one is the photographs. And of course, they are related. But I mean, the testimonies are amazing, and I wanted to hear more about that. How do you edit through the interviews, or did you collaborate with a writer to then distill the essence of those testimonies? How did that work?
The interviews were hours of recording, and had to go through them and write everything down, and then start to edit and think how can I pass that feeling of that time that I spent with them? How can I, because I had recent events now for the book, and some of the Gold Star families came, and they were there to tell the story, and it's so powerful, and I wanted to have that essence. I didn't take any help of a writer. I just used some, the help of my closest friends to read them and give me some feedback, what they think about it. And they just tell me, keep going. And then I had the amazing help of the editor, just going through them, but keep their voices, keep their accents, keep the time when they laugh or when they cry. Because it was very important for me to have that as something that you have just really few pages of it, but it's been very difficult to edit down. But I really wanted to keep just the most powerful points of it.
Hi. How do you find those families? How you pick them? And also, the part of the interview, how do you make them open up to you? How do you make them feel a little bit more comfortable to tell you everything?
Well, reaching the Gold Star family was so difficult. I didn't even imagine it when I started the project. I thought that I wasn't naive enough that I will just approach the military and they will give me a list of families and I'll go and meet with them. Because again, in Israel, we have a unit that take care of those Gold Star families, and they have all the information that you need. But nobody really wanted to help me. Then I went and approached my students, my veterans one, and told them and asked them, could you introduce me to Gold Star family? Tell me a little bit about the American military. And then I understood that even though it's been 10 years since they are back, they never picked up the phone and called them or went to meet with them because they never knew. Again, when you fight here in the United States, you fight in another country. So someone is being killed, there is a funeral, all his unit is back there, is still fighting. Nobody's coming back for the funeral. In Israel, when it's happened, they will stop it and they will come and be with the family for the 7 days. And then the family have the opportunity to hear stories about him. If one soldier feel guilty, for surviving and his friend is being killed, he will be there with the parents to ask their forgiveness. The parents will react back and say, it's not your fault. They have in a way, it's kind of a treatment. And while here, it's not happening. And when they came back, they may not even be the same state. It's a huge country. And they don't know in which situation the family is at. And maybe if they will pick up the phone, they will upset them. So they don't do it. While the family is waiting, still waiting, and they are dying to hear about their sons and daughters and family members. And they won't approach the soldiers because they don't know in what situation they are at. And then I'm coming and I'm saying, tell me your story. I'm asking, I'm coming. Wherever you are, I will come to you. So I had to go through, and then I understood that my students won't help me. So then I had to go through organization, all of the private organizations, civilians one completely, that help support and do events and attend Memorial Day and start speaking with people. And through that, I started to I got my first Gold Star families. Some students were helpful and saying, I know, and I have one here, I know one family, let me approach them. And he approached them first, and they were willing to meet with me, and then the connection has been made. Once I meet with the family, it's just amazing. They just want to tell the story, even though it's going through their most hurting thing ever. But they want to tell it because they don't want people to forget. And there is a point, even with the family member, that they cannot keep talking about it all the time, that they will tell them stop. Like, we need to have some kind of relief from it. So me coming, taking the pictures, hearing the story, making their names being printed, means the world for them.
Hi. In the process of editing, were there any families that you didn't include in the book, or were there any families that didn't have like a story you wanted, or was suitable enough to include in the book? And how did you approach that?
That's a great question. It was hard for me, as I said, to meet the families. And the first one that came out was the mothers. So for my show, my first part of this project, it was all women. It was mothers, wives, daughters. And then I understand that I have to complete the family senate. So a lot of families approached me, but I couldn't go and meet with them because I knew my resources are limited. And I want to hear the other side of the family, the male side or the same-sex side of the family, like different kinds of families. And I met with them. So basically, everyone that I met with is in the book. And other people that I spoke with and didn't meet are not.
Hi, thank you. It's just so powerful. I'm wondering, in your earlier work, even the work with the monuments, were you using writing, narrative? And if not, what is it about this project that, do you feel like you're a writer now? Or is part of being a photographer also being a writer?
I think when you are a photographer, you are a different kind of writer. I'm always telling my students that you need to read your photographs. And looking at photographs from John Tchaikovsky, and it's always like that. That's the line of thoughts that when you look at a photograph, it is a document that you are able to read. I don't think I'm a writer. It's hard for me to think that way. And the texts, it's not something that I wrote, I edit. It's all their words. I didn't add anything. I edited it down. And yes, it is the first time that I incorporate text. I always had my statements, but it's not as massive as this kind of to have a book of it. But I saw it as a part that cannot go without, like it has to come together. And a lot of the recent critique was that it's not just a photography book, and it's not, and that's why I think it's so powerful, because it could function in so many other ways than just a monograph or of a series of photographs. It's just a different kind of photography book.
You know, to build on that point that you were making, have you had people outside of the photography industry approach you or show an interest, or how has the book played out in other?
Yeah, so Maurice, that wrote for this book. In this book, by the way, there are 4 essays by Fred Richen, Stephen Myers, Carol Baker, and Maurice Emerson Ducal. And he's a former Marine that fought in Iraq and came back, and he's now a poet and a playwright. And we are talking about maybe do a play from those texts, but yes, there are others functions that I want the book to be or play in different ways, and also to have a traveling show for people to have it and be accessible to more than just the New York audience.
Thank you so much, Inbal.
Thank you.